All right, guys, Shotty T here. We got another video. I know it's been a couple of days. Just got settled back in town. So we are in a new week. We are in day two versus this week, and we have Warzone Duel that has just arrived. So the video is not going to primarily be about this, but I figure I'll touch on it. Looks like there's going to be some new competition that we're not as familiar with. Looking at the groupings, I felt we fought against 245 before when I was in 249. 235 we fought against during this past season in the opposite faction. And I believe we might have faced 232 in seasons past. But some the rest of these other ones, including who we're going against this week, are new opponents. So look forward to the challenge. I'll do a separate video in more detail about that. But the primary thing we're going to talk about this week is that we're still in the black market event. So I want to show you guys some ways to get more swag bucks, particularly this week and over the next couple of weeks, because obviously you got your basic ways to get in them through the different things you do on the game, such as radar tasks, mobile squads, doom elites, different type of rallies and events. But the most that you're capped on getting that per day is 600 bucks. And that'll get you some things in the black market store, but not everything. And of course, you can get them through the champion duel. But if unless your account is like super strong, you got eliminated last week, like most of us did, including myself. So now it's all about predictions. So with the predictions, you got a lot of people that are in the semifinals, and you're pretty much just predicting matchups. Now there are different tiers, so it's gonna by default show you some easier ones that have a ×2 multiplier, where it's more one-sided, where the person that's gonna win is more obvious. But if you want to look at more matchups that have a bigger multiplier, you click on the more button. So I'm also show you my history so far. So this is where you get the elite matchups where you have a 4x multiplier. So you can bet up to 100 swag bucks, and it's risk free. That's the thing about it. So if you lose, you just get the money back. But if you win, if you win an elite matchup and you pick correctly, you get 4 times the money. So you get 400 bucks in return. Versus if you pick one of these matchups that has a ×2 multiplier, you only win 200 bucks. So that way, if you pick correctly, then you'll win more money. But picking correctly is not as simple as just following the money, so to speak, because a lot of people just look at, oh, let's look at this first matchup, for example. This person, we had 56,000 swag bucks. I keep calling them swag bucks, but black market cash bet towards that person on the left, and you had 3.5 bet on the right. And more than likely, what they simply do is just look at the profile. You got 299 million power versus 267 million power. So it looks simple enough, but it's not always the case. Like power can fluctuate. Like total power can fluctuate, especially if your troop level is very low, or your drill ground capacity is low, or if you got mostly level 6 troops versus level 10 troops. All that stuff can fluctuate your power ranking on a mass scale, because sometimes my power can be as little as 180 million, but if my drill grounds are full with all level 10s, then my power can be like over 260 million. So that's like a 80 million difference. So looking at someone's total power doesn't necessarily tell the full story. You have to look further into the breakdown, and really it comes down to looking at other factors. So let's take a look at it. So I'm not gonna do this for all of them. So we're gonna make a couple of predictions live. But first, let's show what we did the first couple of days. So we did nothing but ×4, and we used the same criteria that I'm gonna show you in this video. And it's not 100%, but if you can get more of these right, you'll win more money. So I think I ended up going 7 out of 10 on my predictions. And what I'll probably do is something that's too close to call. I might step down the level of difficulty to get more guaranteed money. But 7 out of 10, that means I won 2,800 bucks off of 10 predictions. Now keep in mind, if I did all level 2 predictions and got all 10 right, that would be only $2,000. So even going 7 out of 10 on level 4 predictions, I won $800 more than keeping it safe. Now there are times 3 matchups as well, regular match. So sometimes you can mix it in with that. But the higher the risk, the higher the reward. And you know me, I like to gamble. So, all right, so let's look at the criteria. So the first thing that I normally do before I pick up matchups, I don't just look at the power. I go to the server they're in, remember their name. So this is A Cup. We click on the server name there, and then we click on rankings. And then the way that you can really tell someone's total power is not the individual power, but go to the total hero power and the strongest hero power, because some of that has a correlation. And again, it's not 100% foolproof, but it gives you a good indicator of who to pick. All right, so let's look at total hero power. So this person was A Cup. So let's keep that in mind. So A Cup, 168 million power, total hero power. So that means the sum of all his squads put together 168 million. Now it doesn't talk about his first 3 squads, because if he has a 4th squad that's just as high, then it may not tell you, but it gives you a general idea. Most people will probably invest in their first 3 squads and not do much of their 4th, because I do the same as well. The 4th squad is just for like mining purposes or farming purposes. They're not the best fighters. All right, so 168, and then let's go to strongest hero power, and this is where champion knowledge helps. So he has 9.1 million, and this is for Carly. So she is an aircraft hero. So let's keep that in our head. 168 million, 9.1 aircraft. Okay. So let's go back to the other matchup, the other person in the matchup, which is Hilligan. And this person been an underdog in almost every matchup but keeps winning. So obviously this person probably is top heavy, which is my speculation. But let's click on the server, and this is Hilligan. All right, let's go to total hero power. Now remember, the other person was 168 million. So Hilligan is 158 million. So that's a 10 million difference. So it almost seems like this is a pretty sure bet to pick against this person this time. But let's look at the strongest hero power just to be on the safe side. All right, strongest hero power for Hilligan is 8.5 million, and that's what Carly also. So that's aircraft. So that tells me that the aircraft, it seems like across the classes, the other person's probably slightly stronger across the board, which shows in the total hero power. So as a result, we're going to predict this person to win. And actually, the round has already finished, so that's for today. So it looks like this is already finished for today. I think I picked against that matchup earlier. Well, no. All right, so let's just show you this then. All right, let me see if I can show one here. Let me see. I'm gonna show one where I went against the grain and actually ended up winning, because going against the grain sometimes can be beneficial. But let's look at the ones that I missed. So I went against the grain on this one. I picked Purple Rain to beat ZLN, but he ended up losing. But let's look at it. Purple Rain. All right, let's keep that in mind. He got 333 million power. This person got 315. Now, on the server, that's already too close to call, but I picked it for a different reason. But let's see. And he got swept, by the way, 3-0 by the 257 guy. But let's look at Purple Rain. All right, that's Purple Rain, total hero power. All right, so 205 million power. So let's see that there. And then let's go to strongest hero power. All right, Murphy, that's a tank. So that's 10 million. Okay, now let's go to the other person in the matchup. ZLN, I can't read. I don't even know what language that is, but let's just look at the profile picture. It looks like a samurai there or some type of warrior. So let's look at that. Remember that image. So 205 million. and this guy has 203 million. So only a 2 million total hero power difference. So the total hero power difference isn't always an indicator. But let's look at the strongest hero power, Carly. So Carly, 9.7 million. So what that tells me is that his top squad is aircraft, and the other person had Murphy, so his top squad is tank. So that means that this person had a aircraft hero, which again, rock, paper, scissors. So this is where your knowledge of the game, which I talked about in other videos, come into play. So his aircraft team, his best team, which is aircraft, is going to outpower the top team of the other person, especially if it's only a 5 million difference between the top hero power of the individual. That is enough for the underdog to prevail. All right, and now it becomes a certain point if you're too far below someone like Eugene, for example. She has 14 million aircraft. Like if someone has a missile that's 10 million, Eugene is still going to win because the overall power is going to matter at some point. But yeah, 9.7 million aircraft is going to beat a 10.2 million tank. So that kind of, and again, it doesn't show you their full squads, but if you just kind of, and again, it's an educated guess, if you use that, and I'm surprised I didn't catch that, that should have been enough to say that you don't follow the money in this matchup. You pick the underdog in this. So you don't want to always follow the money. So I'm gonna do one more just to kind of show you guys, I guess hypothetically speaking now. So as you can see, the money is on Legion on this matchup, but let's see, is the money correct? So let's look at SOD Vazaya. We're gonna go to this again, and again, let's look at this. We see 337 and 274. So it looks like on paper people are doing their homework because they're putting their money over here. But let's see if that's the case. So Vazaya, let's see what your total hero power is. 201 million. Okay. And then strongest hero power is Murphy. So that's a tank. So 9.9 million. All right. Now let's go to this other person. All right, this Legion fella. So let's go here. Just remember that name. Remember, we had 201 million there. Legion, 200 million. So just 1 million less. Okay, so that means it's still too close to call there. So let's go to the third criteria. Strongest hero power. We had 9.9 Murphy with the other person. So with Legion, we had 9.9 McGregor. So tank overcome missiles. So this kind of tells me that the matchup really should go towards this person, which a lot of people is not picking Vazaya, because Vazaya top squad is tank and Legion's top squad is missile. So that we already know that's going to be one matchup, one automatically. And if their power levels are pretty equal total hero wise, with Vazaya slightly higher, that means that there's a good chance that Vazaya is going to win at least one out of those other two matchups. And all you have to do is win 2 out of 3 to win the matchup. So money should have gone to the left side. But sometimes you'll have people pick a side because you have servers that root for their own people to win more than others. So they might just be showing more support. We're just going to put dollars on you because we believe in you. But sometimes you have to be objective enough to try to just win. if you're just looking at the matchup, like if I see someone in our server, for example, in 255, that has a matchup that they can't win, I'm gonna bet against them because I think I did that in some of these. I think Florida Cracker was one of them. I picked against Florida Cracker in this matchup against King because I didn't think he was gonna win, and I was correct. So sometimes you have to pick it. You can't just be homeristic. But again, if you want to take more of a risk, you pick the elite matchups. Now, the regular matchups and the highlight matchups, they're more lopsided, where it's pretty easy to follow the money because then you have more decisive matchups on paper. You got 299 versus 289, which is not that far off. So I'm surprised that the dollars are that spread out. But I'm trying to see something that's pretty obvious to pick on the other side. Like something like this seems pretty obvious to pick on the right side. And then here, 328 million versus 263 It looks on paper, but again, let's just do a quick look at it. This is Cal. He actually used to be in our service, so he's pretty strong. I know how strong that person is, but just look at this last one here. So 200 million for the Cal, 10 million Carly. So this is an easier matchup here. And then this JYP guy, I have to just remember the characters because he doesn't have a profile picture, unfortunately. So like a backwards looking five and a little stick figure person at the end. So let's keep that in mind. Stick figure, backwards five looking thingy there. Let's see. Okay, so that's number 7. So 190 million. So that's a 10 million difference in total hero power. So that already screams pick the cow already. But let's just double check. Murphy as his top squad tank. So aircraft beats tank. So yeah, so this is an easy cow matchup all the way. So as you can see, when it gets to these levels, picking is easier. So you can be safe picking these, but again, you'll get less upside because if you're 10 out of 10 on these and picking, because you get 5 predictions per day, and we've done 2 days so far, so that's why we've had 10. You only get $2,000 versus if you be more aggressive, you might miss one or two. And I should have did more research into that other one. I would have been 8 out of 10 for $3,200, which is still would have been more than being perfect on the times 3. You just take that. You just have to do the research into the matchups, and by doing that, you get more swag bucks to get more stuff out of the black market. And I'm up to $5,000. So we're gonna go ahead and spend these real quick and see what we're gonna get. All right. And that way you can kind of open the door and get some of the stuff at the bottom, but I'm gonna still be conservative because I like to empty the chamber, so to speak, towards the end of the black market challenge, which still ends in 12 days. I don't want to go too crazy with the money, but the last 4 spins of this round, I might start spending stuff at the bottom if I see something that's enticing. So we're going to get everything at the top here. Nothing spicy yet. Oh, we got some drone parts. That's the first spicy thing I've seen at the top. All right, now we're going to start looking at the bottom on these last 4 rows. Nothing's spicy down there, so we're going to skip to the next one. All right, we got that times 5 exclusive weapon. We're definitely gonna get that. Still got $3,000 left. All right, we don't have enough for those 5 blueprints. That is pretty expensive. I almost got that by mistake, but we will get this though. We definitely need more of those. Our gorilla is almost at level 4, so those are definitely welcome. And then we got more drone parts because I used quite a bit yesterday in a losing effort, so I definitely need to replenish those. And I'm not going to get that decoration item that's on the high expensive side. I'm going to pick one of these 2 at the bottom. Let's just go with the Overlord again, so I can just go ahead and get him to level 4. I think he's actually there. So I'm just going to, I think I'm going to go here. All right. So yeah, guys. So again, I try to, like, even though I do spend money on the game, I try to put as much content out as possible that caters to people that don't spend a lot of money or free to play completely. So that way you can maximize your efficiency on the game and be competitive. And like things like this, it's just a matter of just having knowledge in the game and picking the right folks to win. So hopefully those tips will help you guys out for the remainder of the week. But again, I will have another video about the Warzone Duel, which is another free thing to do in the game that can help you and your server members out. But anyway, guys, like, share, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and I'll talk to you later.